All right, everybody. This is Med instead of Med session 2. Change your protein. So as we went over last week, there are a few things that are in this curriculum and a few things that we encourage folks to implement as far as eating the med way, incorporating your fruits and vegetables. And as you can see, that picture has a variety of colors. Whole grains, beans and legumes, seafood and fish, those lean cuts of protein, nuts and seeds, swapping those fats. You have olive oil there. Using herbs and spices instead of just running straight to salt. Wine, to each his own. It does have antioxidant properties. Physical activity, community, and reducing that added sugar intake by reducing sugary beverages and other things of the sort. So what sets the med way apart from other eating patterns is simple, delicious, and satisfying. A lot of the recipes that are on the medinsteadofmeds.com website are very simple and very delicious, and some of them will surprise you. They're really satisfying. So the first step we are going to talk about today is change your protein. Now, next week we'll do swap your fats, but today we're talking about changing your protein. So instead of meat all the time, I know where I grew up, we always talked about in a meal, it would always be, what the meat at? What meat we have? And stuff like that. But a meal can be sustaining and satisfying without having meat. And also, it'll reduce the amount of saturated fat and even cholesterol that you might consume. So on the left of the screen here, we have a lentil slider. And then on the right, we also have a lean cut of chicken, looks like chicken breast, a cut of what looks like tuna, and then shrimp. And shrimp is actually one of my favorite seafood items. I don't get it all the time, but I do like it. So those are some ways to change your protein. Instead of going for those fatty meats, going towards the meats that might contain fat, but if you're looking at seafood, it contains those omega-3s, like the tuna, the salmon, and mackerel, and things like that. So as I said before, limiting meat, beef, pork, lamb will fall into that category. Limit or totally eliminate highly processed meat. Choose white meat, poultry. Increase fish and seafood. Increase plant protein, beans, nuts, seeds. And those go really well in salads, I must say. The Medway and dairy, Medway dairy and eggs. How do they fit? Changing your protein is arguably the most impactful dietary change that you can make. That's the hardest for a lot of Americans, right? That's why protein and fat is first. That's one of our hardest things to do. We love to load things up. Well, where the meat at? Or throw some cheese on it. So protein choice continuum, let's look at this. As we are on the left, on the eat more side, on the very left, we have those plant-based proteins. And then we have fish and seafood. And as you keep going, you start to get to those meats and more fatty types of protein. And those are the ones we want to eat less of, with highly processed meat being on the end, such as bacon, sandwich meat, potted meat, things like that. Spam, things like that. So limiting meat amount suggests to go to med is no more than 2 to 3 times a month, with serving sizes of 4 to 6 ounces, about the palm of your hand for an adult. Less is even better. Changing your protein again is one of the most impactful things that you can do. Because once you learn these techniques and tips, you can eat just about, you can dress up dishes in just about any way with any flavor profile. And you know how to make those swaps, you know how to incorporate certain things, and it really adds versatility to your cooking, especially when you start to implement those plant-based proteins. It's kind of like going to New York. If you can survive in New York, you can survive anywhere, is what they say. But if you can learn how to use plant-based proteins, you can pretty much survive anywhere in the kitchen. Replace half of the ground meat in your recipes with vegetables. Mushroom beef burger, mushroom beef taco. I've actually just used mushrooms themselves. At our place with my roommates, we have mushroom sliders. We throw a leafy green in there. We might throw a little cheese up there and stuff like that. But that makes for a good hearty slider without adding all of the cholesterol and fat of the beef. Okay. I've actually even taken the big portobello mushrooms and actually made a patty, a little burger patty out of those. Greatly limit or eliminate highly processed meats. They're pumped with sodium. A lot of times they might say less fat, but they do have that sodium that is through the roof. So use less bacon in recipes. Freeze it and just use it one piece at a time. That should be more like a treat every once in a while if you can't cut it out altogether. Because we all, like I said before, that highly processed meat has a lot of sodium. And with bacon, it's fatty. Let's just be honest. A lot of saturated fat on that. But choose white meat poultry if you're going to start somewhere. Maybe just choosing chicken or a poultry type protein in general could be the first place that you start, with choosing white meat poultry being the best option. Of course, you can see you can grill it. Grilling is a good option. Baking is a good option. You can marinate those meats, that white meat poultry. It's healthy for you, and it may be healthy for the plant. There's one way that you can look at it. Eat fish 2 to 3 times per week. Make at least one serving of high-fat fish such as salmon. And these are going to really, really pack in those omega-3s. Those omega-3s, they stand as antioxidants to protect the cells, all right? And to get rid of those free radicals in the body. A salmon burger could work out for you. Basil, shrimp, and tomato pasta with feta, I've had that one, and it is good. Fish taco with avocado mango mango salsa. That mango salsa, you can have that by itself with maybe some pita or chips or something like that. Or you don't even have to have it over the taco. You could put it over something else, and it's to die for. Maybe you might have to implement strategies like naming a certain day of the week, Salmon Saturday. Common questions about fish and eating the med way. Do I have to eat fish to go med? What can I do about fish being expensive? What about mercury? Is farm-raised fish okay? So, you don't necessarily have to just start and jump right into fish. If you can incorporate fish and seafood as you go along, that's the best way to do it, because we can't just break habits that same day, right? We can't just cut something off. A lot of us can't do that. So maybe starting with that white meat poultry, but one of the things to do is to reduce costs. If cost is an issue, is look for those sales. Look for those coupons. Not all coupons that come to your email or to the mail are useless. Some of them actually are pretty good deals. Okay? Maybe you can use the canned tuna or salmon in order to make that salmon patty, okay, or tuna burger. Talk to your markets and see what type of deals, see what they have back there. What about mercury? So don't let fear of mercury stand between you and eating fish. Most commonly eaten fish and seafood are low in mercury while offering many health and nutrition benefits. And here are the low mercury fish right here. You can actually find this little handout on the website. And it's also about the way you prepare fish too. You can't just say, well, I'm eating fish and then you fry it up. Bake it, grill it, doing things like that can actually be good for you. Don't eat for pregnancy and small children, don't eat raw, partially cooked, or high mercury fish, such as the following: shark, swordfish, king mackerel, tilefish, marlin, orange roughy, big eye tuna, and some local catch from contaminated water. Eat a variety of low mercury fish each week. But if you just want to play it safe, you can chill out in the lean cuts of poultry category. Farm raised versus wild caught. Which is better for you, a lot of folks say? Well, it depends. It really does. Are the waterways contaminated? Are they well taken care of? Are they stewarded well? Is that wild caught in a good natural environment, or is it an environment that has been contaminated and polluted? Is the farm raised? Is it a well taken care of farm where they're practicing good things? Or is it a place where they're doing things under the table? Is it a place where they are not keeping their waterways safe and free of contamination? Then some questions need to be asked. It all depends. Both can be good and safe and nutritious sources when the sources are stewarded well. All right. Let's not forget about those plant-based proteins. Beans and legumes, one of my favorite. I grew up on those. Lentils with a cumin vinaigrette. Quinoa pinto bean burger, that one is good. White bean hummus, that one's good too. You can make double lentils to use as a bed for fish or chicken. Quinoa pinto bean burgers, they do freeze well. White bean hummus, always good for a snack or a great to-go lunch. So best beginner bean is a lentil. It doesn't take as long to cook, not a lot of soaking involved, and you can use them in multiple dishes. On one of the first slides, you saw that you could make a little slider out of it. So you can get them canned, you can put them in your pressure cooker, or you can simply slow cook them. Soak beans for 48 hours, drain, put in a slow cooker, and stop and water, and cook 8 to 10 hours on low. So how do we get rid of the famous notion that you'll have gas? Now, some folks, they do. It makes them a little gassy. But here are some ways to mitigate that. Soaking that 48 hours. Not only will that decrease your cooking time a little bit, but it'll also kind of allow a process to happen where it's not as heavy on the stomach. Cooking until very soft. Keep fully covered with water while cooking. So soaking them actually helps that little softening process as well. But cooking them till they're very soft and keeping them fully covered with the water while they're cooking, that's going to be your key right there. Chew them well. I mean, that's basic digestion 101. Chew your food well. Add beans slowly to your diet. If you're not used to beans, you can't just throw them in your diet, or they're gonna do a little bit of digestive disruption. You can add the following: ginger, kombu, cumin, ajwain, epazote. You can add a few of those. I've only done cumin. I kind of do want to try ginger, but the rest I have not done. You can salt them later. Add salt very late in the cooking. Don't salt drench your beans and drop the sodium content. Rinse well. Canned beans needs to be rinsed well. cook to further soften the bean. Rinsing can drain that sodium off as well, or the salt. So you have a lot of beans in your refrigerator, so you have a lot of cans of beans in your pantry. You can add on the salads, you can do beans and rice, you can make them into burgers, you can do a hummus, you can do a burrito, tacos, you can do a soup, or they can simply be a side dish. So what about vegetarian and the male way? Protein is usually not an issue. EPA and DHA may need to be supplemented. B12, if you're a vegan, may be an issue, so you might have to eat foods that are fortified with this particular vitamin. Tofu or soy is not a miracle and not a demon. And EPA and DHA, that's a lot of your fatty acids that may be complex fatty acids that may be found in other sources that are animal that may not be found in the plant-based proteins in abundance, anyway, in abundance. The traditional Mediterranean diet is not high in dairy, maybe 1 to 2 servings per day, but we know as Americans that dairy is a big part of our diet. But a lot of us Americans, we don't treat dairy and cheese as a supplement or a complement, but we actually treat it as a main dish a lot of times. So when you choose the yogurt, low fat or fat free is a good choice. Cheese in small amounts, fat-free milk in small amounts, up to 7 per week. Taking these steps, as we've laid out before, can be impactful for you. Planning makes that happen. I mean, you can't just jump into this without having a game plan, right? You want to make this change? Set aside 30 minutes to plan, because a lot of us that are used to those high-fat meats, those saturated fatty meats, it takes some time for us to get used to what we can swap and what we can do. But remember, we have recipes at medinsteadofmeds.com. Keep it simple. Select recipes with few ingredients. Choose recipes you feel comfortable preparing. Use simple cooking techniques. You don't have to go all out to make a good meal. Just keep it simple. When you go shopping, make a shopping list so you don't overbuy, so you don't overspend, so you don't get things that you know you're not going to eat. And implement things one step at a time. Maybe one week you try cooking with the poultry, lean cuts of poultry. You might try it out a few times, looking at the recipes that you already work with and see how it can be swapped in and out. And then going to medinsteadofmeds.com in order to get some of those nice, easy, simple, delicious recipes. And remember, we want fresh. Shopping on the outside of those aisles, limiting our trips on the inside of those aisles, all right? Keep it interesting. Get your family involved. Get your kids involved. Allow them to start learning those cooking skills early so that they can incorporate these good habits. Use foods that are in season. Save a little bit of money and get them at their freshest point. Try a new recipe each week. Keep adding things to your holster. All right. Keep balance in mind when planning. This little plate from Harvard actually does well, goes a little bit beyond my plate in displaying how to design your plate. When you do have fruits and vegetables, allow vegetables to be the main priority. Whole grains, healthy protein, water. I mean, the body cannot function without water. You can go longer without food than you can without water. Water is how processes happen in the body. Healthy oils and fats, mainly unsaturated. That's why we show that olive oil there. Think of leftovers as an ingredient, not the same food a second time around. Now, y'all, I will eat the same thing day after day if I'm left up to it, but I love to spice my leftovers up and do a little something different. And you can freeze them too. And when you go to the grocery store and you get the groceries, go ahead and start preparing what you'll need, and you can freeze it. Those greens, you can go ahead and chop them up. You can blanch and freeze so that you'll be able to take them out at a later time. Organize your pantry and refrigerator, throwing out the outdated old stuff if it needs to be discarded, and making sure that you're using things and you're rotating the stock. Making sure you know where things is. Main thing, things don't get used. Even in people's refrigerator, the refrigerator be so full, things ease to the back, and then before you know it, it's right. So keep tabs, especially for y'all restaurant folks out there. You know how to rotate stock. Come on now. Be mindful about meal planning, food buying, and food prep. Be realistic about how much time you are really willing to give. Now is the time, y'all, that we're in this time of lockdown. Now is the time to take the time to go ahead in that kitchen and start preparing meals, to start practicing. That way, when you go back to, hopefully, life as we know it, go to work, you'll be able to do things a little faster. Get those knife skills up now so that you'll be able to work a little faster. All right? And that way, you don't have to go to fast food. I don't feel like it. You already ahead of the game. Things are chopped. You already got what you need. You say, oh, well, I'll just do that stir fry tonight. Oh, I'll just do this tonight. So having a meal planner and shopping list. Know where your meals are gonna be throughout the week. And know when there's an unhealthy meal that you know you don't want to partake in, you need a plan for that instead of giving into it. So that piece of night at the gym, maybe you account for that. And you say, nah, that might not be the best thing for me. I'm gonna go on over here. I got something whipped up. So start with commitments that include food. Add weekly standards, add family go-tos. Take family staples and start to play with them a little bit. Experiment. That way you can develop your own art of cooking. Schedule time for shopping and prep work. A lot of us just plan to go to the grocery store. We don't plan for when we arrive home from the grocery store. We need to add a little bit of 15 to 20 minutes to plan for that so that we can already have things pre-prepped. Find your family standards such as Salmon Saturday. Find your family go-tos. And again, go to our website and order to see how you can really swap those proteins and the recipes that we have highlighted. All right, this concludes our second session with Eating the Med Way, i.e. med instead of meds. Join me next week at 2 p.m. and we'll be going through how to swap your fats, how to change your fats up. All right.